If we want to find out what is going on, we have to examine the bodies. And continuing with the incision, there appears to be some sort of gas or smoke rising out of the subject's head.
Look. Is that normal?
The Edge of Sleep isn't any ordinary podcast. It is a monumental achievement with the leaps it takes in revolutionizing the way we consume stories. In fact, calling it a podcast greatly undersells what you've been provided with. It isn't a group of people talking for an hour straight, nor is it an audiobook with one narrator speaking in a monotone voice throughout. It's nothing short of a cinematic experience that immerses you into its world without you ever even seeing what it looks like. It's truly something special. Oh, and Markiplier is in it too, I guess, or whatever. Q-Code is a podcast production company that collaborated with its new label at the time, Wood Elf, to deliver the masterpiece known as The Edge of Sleep, which premiered on the 24th of September all the way back in 2019. The podcast amassed so much success that alongside being renewed for a second season, it also has a live-action adaptation currently being worked on in post-production. And yeah, we'll definitely be talking about what Markiplier had to do with that too, don't worry.
It's not like it's the worst picture in the world, but I don't know why they keep using it. You can tell that there's something wrong with my face here.
With these additional entries of the franchise rumored to be either teased or released this spring in 2023, I thought it'd be an excellent idea to cover why it is that this podcast is unlike any other. This podcast relays the story of a night watchman that goes by the name of Dave, played by Mark,
that I was just hired as an actor in.
That winds up in a changed world where those that fall asleep fail to ever wake up again. And no, they don't get trapped in some form of internationalized coma. They die. Now he and a band of survivors must stay awake and uncover the secret of this global epidemic before they fall asleep themselves. I went into the show without having seen any of the promotional material, so when the premise was revealed by the end of episode 1, I was more hooked than ever. The idea of sleep as the ultimate villain is not only a concept with a lot of potential, but is something anyone can relate to. It makes for an ever-looming threat. While our heroes face many other enemies and obstacles along the way, the fear of any of them passing out or getting knocked unconscious is what makes the horror element shine. That and how scary it would be to live in a world where you know it's just you left. And what's even scarier is when you're not. This synopsis is one you witness very early on, and the story only develops itself in an even more entrancing way as the episodes proceed forward. If any of you have been a regular on my channel, you must know by now that the incorporation of dreams in stories has always been something that can grapple me into becoming a fan, and The Edge of Sleep goes above and beyond in that department. The unsettling tension that grows with each passing second as Dave and his friends try and figure out just what the fuck is happening around them, and the horror as they realize that they don't have much time left to get to the bottom of this has led to some of the best moments I've ever imagined in fiction. Your imagination is a part of this story. You get to decide and construct how the sequences play out, and that freedom paired with the setup is a phenomenal feeling. Also, can we just acknowledge how well written the characters are? Mateo is best boy, no criticism accepted. What makes it all come together is the audio engineering of it all. And something else too, but we'll get to that in a bit. This is why it would be unfair to describe The Edge of Sleep as an audiobook. The narration is minimal, and for most of the time you just hear the dialogues of all these characters interacting with one another and the parts of the environment that they're in. The sound design is so eloquently crafted that it's hard to believe that these types of podcasts aren't all the craze.
Beware of the elephant.
What's more is that Q-Code has been making stories like these for a long time now, with many of them having won awards. And yet, it's only now that their work has started to be highlighted in the press and mainstream media. No description can perfectly encapsulate the wonders you hear by listening yourself. But to try my best regardless, this show makes you appreciate the little things in life without ever explicitly pointing anything out. Since there are no visuals, everyone is left to their minds in recreating the events that play out within the series. And so, the presence of even the most minute sound effect goes a long way in establishing a real place. A car engine humming in the distance, a gunshot fired from afar, a door handle being grabbed in just the right way to indicate whether it was being pushed or pulled, the echoing of voices as people leave the intended scene, a hand being placed on another's shoulder, different forms of white noise fading in and out as Dave walks past the desolate land of Santa Mira, the groans of a deranged man locked behind a closet to show he's still alive, the ruffling of someone's clothes as they change outfits, all this without it ever being mentioned verbally even once. A fun BTS note, this was done through binaural recordings that are used to literally create 3D sound effects that we hear in the show. Look it up, it's fascinating. That's not all though. Many won't pick up on this, but the writers went an extra mile in adding dialogue that is way more descriptive than it would be in a show to allow for more details to be mentioned in passing. Things such as the physical state of characters, the setting everyone is in, or the hallucinatory visions that plague Dave, this would normally not be needed as you'd be able to see all this in a visual medium. And yet, despite it being details that the Edge of Sleep can survive without, it was all still put in to make this universe just that much more exciting. And honestly, I believe this was much more difficult to achieve than, let's say, writing a novel. Books are meant to dump exposition, that's the whole point. But here, you're supposed to do so in a way that feels seamless, and the absence of an inner voice for each character doesn't help. All in all, the aforementioned points are what drew Markiplier into working with Q-Code 2. While the story is fine and dandy, it's really the ear orgasms that you're there for. And Mark's open about that too.
And it's so amazingly well done. The story is cool. I like the story a lot. But what I, on a technical level, am more impressed by is the audio engineering, because I actually really like audio engineering. I think it's very fun. I like fussing with audio. I did the audio in Damien. I like doing the audio in like the videos that I do. I like it. It's fun.
This love of his is apparent with how Mark was actually the producer of The Edge of Sleep, and his involvement with the production only grew when filming for the TV show when it was right around the corner.
I leave for Canada tomorrow. Yeah, I know. That was a surprise. I knew about it. Oh, God, I'm going to Canada because I'm filming something. So I'm going to Canada to film The Edge of Sleep. We're turning it into a TV show.
In April of 2021, Mark flew out to Canada for the production of The Edge of Sleep's visual counterpart. Being transparent of how things went on behind the scenes, we got to take a look at Mark with some of his co-stars and him chained to a hospital bed as he promoted his podcast.
Yes, I know this is odd, but it's all for what I'm filming up here. I'm in Canada, I'm filming The Edge of Sleep, the TV show. But I'm taking this time right now to tell you about Distractable.
Oh yeah, and for those that have listened to The Edge of Sleep, I fully believe that this is that one scene in the hospital, and I can't be more excited. It was later confirmed that Mark even helped with editing the show in some capacity, and since then, all we have to feed on in terms of Edge of Sleep content is this one clip that had been quote-unquote leaked by Mark during one of his live streams. Safe to say, Mark and the folks over at Q-Code, Wood Elf and New Regency know what they're doing. Although I am intrigued as to how the premise will translate over to a more standard form of medium, since one of the charms of the original was just how unique it was. If it's done well though, I can guarantee already that it'll be one of the most scariest plots in recent times. Trust me, with what was heard, I can only imagine how terrifying all the monsters would be when given form. From the Dream Warriors, the Veil, all the way to the Moobles, this will be the stuff of nightmares for sure. Ha, get it? To address the elephant in the room though, no, not that one. How was it that Mark performed in terms of his delivery? I mean, do I even need to give an example of how great his acting has become as of late? Too bad, I will regardless.
Murder! I didn't kill anybody! This is madness!
Oh, you want to talk about madness?
Of course. I didn't kill anybody. It was all a joke! I'm starting to realize that even though we have infinite choices every single second of our lives, there's only a handful that really, really matter. It was my fault. Captain, I'm tired.
Yeah, the entire cast was just stunning and over-delivered on what might have been expected. And now I can't wait to see how Mark, Leo and everyone else on set do in the live action. Although I do wonder as to why we've gone so long without even a poster or teaser for the show. In Space with Markiplier was shot after The Edge of Sleep and still somehow ended up being released before it despite the massive scale of the project.
I laugh because every once in a while I'll see a tweet that's like, I'm so proud of Mark, he made a short film. And I'm like, this is 7 hours.
I imagine it has something to do with corporate planning and paving the way for a franchise. Or maybe the team just has a lot on their plate with a book in the works too. Whatever it is, I'd like to believe it's worth the wait.
You've been real good. Check this out. Oh, sleep! My God!
To wrap things up, we have covered the production, story, actors, characters, as well as the future of The Edge of Sleep. If any of you are watching this video and haven't yet devoured the 3 hours worth of Dave content currently available, do so now. You won't regret it. We have much to await, so now is the perfect time to do so. We've reached the end of the video, but I imagine you're still looking for more Markiplier content on my channel. Don't fret, here's another video waiting for you right here. Until next time though, this has been Vexodus, and see ya.